Okay, let's talk about Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. I mean, this thing wasn't just a book, right? It was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. So, what was it about these 12 rules that got millions of people hooked? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep, unpack the core philosophy behind the whole thing, and yeah, break down some of its most powerful and, let's be honest, controversial ideas.
All right, so let's just get right to the heart of the puzzle, shall we? We live in a time, in a culture that, well, it kind of bristles at being told what to do. We don't like rules. So why on earth did a book that is, literally a list of rules become this massive global bestseller? I mean, what was going on there? What deep-seated need was it tapping into?
Well, the whole thing started in a pretty unexpected place. I mean, this wasn't cooked up in some fancy publisher's office. Nope. It all began on the internet forum Quora. Someone asked a pretty simple question. What are the most valuable things everyone should know? Peterson threw together a list, posted it, and boom! His answer went completely viral. It was like right away, it was obvious he'd struck a nerve, hit on this huge, unmet hunger for some real guidance.
And Peterson himself kind of wondered about this. He said, perhaps people were drawn to the structure that such rules imply. Perhaps people just like lists. And that really gets at something, doesn't it? We all talk about wanting freedom, but maybe, just maybe, we also have this powerful, deep need for structure. In a world that can feel super chaotic and kind of meaningless sometimes, this book basically offered a set of guardrails, something solid to hold on to.
All right, Section 1, a world of chaos and order. So, before we can even get to the rules themselves, we have to get our heads around the book's core worldview. And it all boils down to this idea that reality is a constant tug-of-war between two massive forces, chaos and order.
Now, the book has a special term for everything. It's called being, with a capital B. And look, this isn't just the physical world, the rocks and trees and stuff. It's the whole shebang. It's the totality of human experience. It's the objective facts out there, for sure, but it's also our inner world, our emotions, our thoughts, our dreams, our actions. It's all of it.
So, being has these two sides. On one hand, you've got order. Think of order as everything that's known. It's culture, it's structure, it's your daily routine, it's security and predictability. On the other side, you have chaos, and chaos is the great unknown. It's where new things come from, it's potential, it's transformation, but it's also where the scary stuff lives. It's a lot like the famous Taoist symbol of yin and yang, representing this cosmic, eternal balance.
So what's the goal then? The idea here is that you don't want to just hide out in pure, safe order, but you also don't want to get totally lost and overwhelmed by chaos. No, the argument is that a meaningful life is found right on the border between the two. You're walking this fine line, taking a little bit of that chaotic potential and turning it into something new, something useful, something habitable. This path is called the way.
Okay, Section 2, meaning over expediency. So, if life is this big balancing act between chaos and order, the obvious next question is, how are we supposed to act? What's our compass? Well, the book offers up one single core guiding principle for this. Go after what is meaningful, not what is expedient.
This quote right here is probably one of the most important takeaways from the entire book. So let's break it down. Expediency, that's just doing what's easy right now. It's the quick fix, the little white lie you tell to get out of trouble, the path of least resistance. But meaning is totally different. It's about aiming for something higher, something better in the long run, even if it means you have to make a sacrifice today.
And the book uses a really powerful story to illustrate this point, the story of Christ in the desert. So picture this. He's starving, literally starving, and he's tempted to just use his power to turn stones into bread. I mean, that's the expedient choice, right? The easy fix. But he says no. He says, man doesn't live by bread alone. He's choosing a higher, more meaningful path over just satisfying his immediate hunger. So, how do we apply this? What does it actually mean to choose meaning in our own lives? Well, according to the book, it boils down to voluntarily accepting what it calls the burden of being. And yeah, that sounds heavy, I know. But what it really means is taking on responsibility. It's about looking at the difficulties in your life and deciding to confront them head on, instead of trying to run away from them. All right, Section 3, Rules for a Meaningful Life. So, this is where the rubber meets the road. All that philosophy about chaos, order, and meaning, it leads us right here, to the rules themselves. And it's important to see them not as just some arbitrary list of commands, but as practical, hands-on tools designed to help you walk that path and choose meaning.
And let's start with Rule 1, because it's probably the most famous one of all. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like something your grandma would tell you. But believe me, this goes way, way deeper than just advice about good posture. There are some serious psychological and even neurochemical reasons behind this.
And this is where the famous lobster analogy comes in. So stick with me here. Lobsters, just like people, have social hierarchies. And when a lobster loses a fight, it physically slumps over. This defeated posture is linked to lower levels of serotonin in its brain, and that creates this nasty feedback loop. Less serotonin leads to more anxiety and sadness, which makes it more likely to lose again. The argument is that you can actually short-circuit this same loop in your own brain by physically standing up straight and telling your body and your brain to be confident.
This whole idea of hierarchy is absolutely central to the book's thinking. And to explain how these hierarchies seem to pop up everywhere, it introduces something called Price's Law. It's a principle of unequal distribution. Put simply, it says that in almost any creative field, a very small number of people will wind up producing the vast majority of the output. It's not a 50-50 split, it's not even close.
And here's a wild example to show you what that looks like in the real world. Think about all the classical music ever written. It turns out that a massive chunk of the music that actually gets played today comes from just 4 guys: Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and Tchaikovsky. The book suggests this unequal distribution isn't an accident. It's a fundamental feature of reality. And a big part of navigating life is acknowledging this fact rather than getting bitter or resentful about it.
Okay, let's look at another one of the core rules. Rule 8. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. And this is about so much more than just, not telling fibs. It's about trying to make your words and your actions match up with reality as you genuinely see it. It's about stopping yourself from using language to manipulate the world just to get what you want in the short term. And there's a really great personal story in the book that makes this crystal clear. The author's landlord at the time was this intimidating ex-biker, and this guy would show up late at night, drunk, trying to sell him stuff. Now, the easy thing to do, the expedient lie, would be to just make an excuse, right? But instead, he took the hard path. He told them the truth, that it wasn't good for his sobriety and it was making his wife nervous. And the results? The landlord totally respected it and never did it again. The difficult truth actually made reality better.
So the book takes this very personal idea and zooms all the way out. It argues that all those little lies, the small self-deceptions we engage in every day, they add up. They corrupt us as individuals, sure, but when millions of people are doing it, it corrupts society itself. The claim is that the horrifying totalitarian states of the 20th century weren't just built on big lies, but on the foundation of millions and millions of tiny, personal falsehoods.
Okay, Section 4, your personal path. So after all this big picture stuff, how do we actually put this all together? Well, at the end of the day, all of these ideas are meant to be applied by you, the individual, on your own unique path.
Really, the best way to think about the 12 rules is as a kind of toolkit for navigating your life. And it's a really diverse toolkit. You've got these really profound, deep ones, like treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Then you have super practical advice like make friends with people who want the best for you. And then you even have ones that seem kind of small and simple, like pet a cat when you encounter one on the street, a little reminder to find moments of grace, even when life is tough.
And this quote right here, man, it just brings everything home. It's the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Chaos, order, truth. It all points back to this one central idea. And this worldview, meaning in life, isn't something you just stumble upon one day. It's not something you find. It's something you create. And you create it by willingly, voluntarily taking on responsibility.
So, when you boil it all down, this book isn't really about just blindly following a checklist. It's a call to action. It's a challenge. It's about aiming upward toward the highest good you can imagine. It's about turning around and facing the chaos in your own life, head on, and taking on the responsibility to create something better out of it.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about, and it comes straight from the heart of this whole message. So for a minute, forget about all the massive problems in the world. Just focus on your own life. If you were to voluntarily take on more responsibility for just one thing, right now, to make it better, what would that one thing be?